Are you thinking about selling your home on your own? I don't blame you. If I had my license, I might even give it a shot myself. But before you dive in, let me warn you, the path for a for sale by owner can be fraught with pitfalls that could cost you time and a lot of money. So in this video, I'll reveal to you the 5 biggest challenges that for sale by owners face in today's market, and I'll also share with you proven strategies that will actually help you succeed. So don't make these mistakes. Let's get started.
So here we go. Let's get into it. The 5 challenges, and these are big ones. These are ones I see every day. And I can share this with you because I have the numbers and I'm in this space, I think, more than most agents are, because it's my number one source of business, is helping for sale by owners guide through the process of getting their property sold when they've tried to do it on their own. And it's okay. If I'd have my license, I'd probably do the same darn thing. No fault to you. Let me share with you the challenges in case you're thinking about going down this path, and then you can be aware of them and then avoid them, and then I'll give you the three nuggets at the very end that you could actually use to guide through the process if you're still convinced that you should do it on your own. Maybe this will help you out, okay? That's, of course, the point of this whole thing. So number 1, what's the biggest challenge? It is market knowledge. I can't tell you the hundreds of folks that have the sign in the yard that say for sale by owner, that they'll say something like, I've sold many homes on my own. Well, how many is many? Usually it's 2 to 3. Over the course of 30 years. And so 2 to 3 versus, say, I've been in the business for 22 years, I've helped over 3,800 home sellers navigate through the selling process. So those numbers are not even close, and the amount of experience that an agent that is out there every year for 2 decades can bring to the equation is insurmountable. You can't even put a number on that. So just the market expertise is lacking, and just because you did it 10 years ago doesn't mean that you're a pro. Just because I can walk to my mailbox doesn't make me a marathon runner. Just because I can yank out my tooth with a pair of rusty pliers doesn't make me a dentist. You get the point. So just because you did it before doesn't mean the market's the same or is receptive of that type of tactic. In fact, it's getting worse and worse. Zillow has really, for one example, has really downgraded the for sale by owner product. Why? They're not making money on for sale by owner. So you post it up on Zillow, and we estimate that the Zillow is getting, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, is getting about 1 to 3% of all eyeballs of potential buyers, which means ready, able, and willing. So there you go. There's a little nugget there. So market know-how, you're not understanding what truly is at play with the market. What's market knowledge? Number of homes on the market, average days on the market, average sale prices, absorption rates, which means if you're listed now, what is the absorption rate? How many homes will sell in a certain period of time relative to the amount of buyer activity out there? All that data is absent from your decision-making process. So it's impossible to truly know how the market's doing when you're entering as a for sale by owner. So that's number 1, market knowledge. Let's go to the next one, which is product. You have the product, so you have marketing. And I'll get into that in a minute. And then you have the product. The product is your home. But the product itself needs to be showcased in such a way that it will stand out amongst the competition. So even if you get 1 to 3% of potential people looking at your property, by luck, then they land on the Zillow page, but the product is insufficient. The photos are bad. They're close-up photos of the refrigerator or close-up to the bed. I don't want to see your bed. I want to see your home. Think about it. Like you're photographing little aspects of your house that have nothing to do with how the buyer is going to really truly enjoy it. They don't want to see the cabinet, or they don't want to see the table. They want to see the real estate.
Okay, here we go. This is what I was trying to find. So I found one. It's been on the market for a long time, and we're talking about 78 days on Zillow. But here's the example I was showing you. So when you look at the property, when you look at the listing, this is what happens is they take photos of the stuff, the dining room table, for example, the sofas. You see that? That just doesn't work. Why am I looking at your sofa, your TV, or your artwork? Okay, there's a dock. Oh, there's a sink. Okay, great, super duper. Laundry, washing machine, and dryer. Now, you may think I'm picking on this listing. I'm not, because this is actually very, very common. Is the photography is so off-putting. It's dark and dingy. Plus, there's photos of stuff. People want to fall in love with the real estate, the real property. And it's challenging enough, right, to get a buyer to fall in love with the property when they have so many other options. But what about when there's taking pictures of the stuff, the appliances? That's what I'm talking about. Perfect example right here. Just give me your bed, show me your dresser, show me that, whatever that is, dressers again. So bad photography, an example, perfect example there. Now, what does the opposite of that look like? Well, it's if you look at something like, well, let me just show you. You look at, oh, I didn't show you the description. Let me show you that real quick too. So the description reads, oh, for crying out loud, let me show you. Here we go. All right. Okay. Low maintenance waterfront home, great for entertaining or family use. Over 80 foot of lakefront frontage, dock included. Straightforward, to the point, but doesn't do much to entice, the buyer, to get them to fall in love with the property. That's really what we have to do. We have got a short time to accomplish that. You have to hit it with all angles, which is the description. We use a professional writing service to accomplish that. But here's an example of one of my listings to contrast against that. So you can see aerial cinematography. We use drone work, and then you get inside the property. You can see what that looks like. Okay, nice and bright and beautiful, and makes a big difference. Occasionally, you have to take a shot of that laundry, but not all the time, because that's probably a smaller room, right? But people want to see the real estate. They don't want to see the stuff. There's a great example with this previous listing on how to really shoot yourself in the foot as a for sale by owner when it comes to.
So that's the product. The product has to be showcased in such a way that it stands out, it pops. The buyers fall in love with the real estate, not with your stuff, okay? That's number two, that's product. Let's talk about placement. Placement. This is something I alluded to a minute ago. Placement. So when you're a for sale by owner, you have limited options. Number one is most people, seems like about 85 to 90% of for sale by owners throw their home on Zillow. It's free. Of course they put it on Zillow because it's free. That seems to be the buzzword here. Anything that we can spend less money on and save money rather than seeing how we can make the price higher. See, there's a difference in philosophy there. Of course, that's the first place to go. Again, if I have my license, I didn't know what I know, I might give it a shot myself. Nothing wrong with that. But Zillow is very limited. In fact, it takes a couple steps for a buyer to actually find you there. So they have to click, 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 click. Oh, there's the for sale by owners. They're over here hidden in this link. Okay? So it's hard to find. But when they arrive, they're not finding something they really love anyway. So you have a very look at it like this. Look at spokes on a wheel. So imagine spokes on a wheel, and real estate agents that are doing it right. We have the MLS, which is the primary hub, but then the syndication channels are extreme, meaning your home will be featured on thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of websites all over the world. So thousands on that wheel, thousands spokes versus your one spoke, which is Zillow. Or actually, most people will do Zillow, or they'll throw it on their Facebook page. So Zillow and Facebook. So there are your two spokes compared to thousands of spokes. Just so by virtue of market reach, we're getting in front of 98% or more buyers that could potentially buy your home. So they come in the door and they're ready, able, and willing. It's the subcategory of the placement piece, which is getting in front of more buyers, because when they're ready and able and willing buyers, but typically for sale by owners will attract buyers that are not ready, they're not able, and they're not willing. They're more looky-loos. And I know this because when I talk to for sale by owners, they will tell me, I talked to a buyer last Monday. It's been 5 days, and they told me they're going to try to get their money in order. But get your money in order? You shouldn't be looking at houses unless you have your money in order. We don't show houses unless they're pre-approved or they have cash. So there's this whole subset of buyers out there that look at for sale by owners because they don't take the time to get pre-approved, and then they're wasting time. They're actually giving the for sale by owner false hope. Okay? So product is a big deal. You've got to make sure your home shows as nice as it possibly can, and you have to make sure that when they arrive there, that you have to make sure that the home shows as nice as it can. And secondly, it has to have more reach. It has to have more placement. Zillow is one spoke, which we're talking about thousands of spokes. Let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about pricing. I would say 95% or more, 98% of for sale by owners are priced wrong. Are they too high? Are they too low? I don't know, Goldilocks. Sometimes they're just right. Very few, 5% or less. Most of them have completely overshot the market. I was talking with one yesterday. They were, I estimate, $75,000 over market value. And why is that? Because they take a philosophy and they flip it upside down. Their philosophy is this: price it high so that I can build in all sorts of room to negotiate. Well, that'd be like a car that's retail at $30,000, but let's go ahead and list it for $40,000 or $50,000. What they're failing to understand is that buyers do searches based on certain price brackets. They cut the search off, and then they don't find the product. Or when they find it, if they do happen to see it because they land on Zillow and they're trolling around the Facebook section, the for sale by owner section, they look at that, they're like, that's way overpriced, and the photos are bad, and no, I'm out. You see that? So overpricing is a very bad idea, because then you're missing out on this section of buyers that might otherwise want to come see it. What about the other group? Underpricing. So now the porridge is too cold rather than too hot. Okay, that means that the home is underpriced. I see that too, where they price it under here because they don't have a detailed market analysis or an appraisal to guide them with pricing. And even if you had those two things, there's still the sweet spot with pricing. Ooh, that's where the porridge is. It's right, baby, right in the middle. It's where you need to be as a seller. And sometimes that means that an agent who's been doing this for a long time can say, hey, you know what? Let's adjust this $5,000 here. Maybe it's raised it at $5,000 or lower at $5,000 based on what? Based on market intel, based on super secret reporting. There's something called the target market analysis, which I pay for, which gives us the ability to target a list price based on what is trending right now for pricing in your category, meaning which homes are getting shown this very minute. Put it right there.
Okay, another one for you. I'm just digging back in the database a little bit. I wanted to find evidence of ones that actually sold for sale by owner to show you the delta between the list price and the final sales price running it through Zillow. So this is a prime example. This one listed on May 29th, 2024 for $600,000. I ran the numbers on this one, and all day long, because it has Grand River frontage, 150 feet of frontage on the Grand River, in Ada Township. So it's just a prime area. This thing could have gone for $550 easily, and it sold for $5. So again, prime example, listing for $6, selling for $5, and it sold on July 10th. It listed on May 29th. So you have a longer days on the market, but it ends up selling for far less money. So if you figure, you run the numbers on a $550 list price, assuming it sells for that, you could even sell it for more. But let's say you even run it at $550, you're going to end up netting another $25,000 over this price, and that's after paying commission, somewhere between 5 and 6%. It doesn't matter at this point, but I don't know where you come from. $25,000 is a lot of money. So that's left on the table. This is one of thousands of examples, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that I see each and every year of people jumping over dollars to get to dimes. They sold it on their own, I should say they saved commission, but they ended up selling it for far less than they could have had they hired an agent.
Okay, so there's pricing. So far we've covered market knowledge, we've covered placement, we've covered product, we covered pricing, and let's talk about the fourth one. This is the final challenge for the for sale by owner. It is negotiating. Whoa, negotiating. Why is this a problem? It's a problem because, how do I condense this down into a clear, concise statement? Whenever someone is working directly with the buyer, despite what you might think, it's a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage. There's a reason why when you go to a jewelry store, for example, let's just give you this analogy. This might be the best way to describe it. You walk in the door and there's a bunch of lights and it's fancy, and the watch that you could buy is in a glass case. It's beautiful, it's shiny, it's in a box. It's nice. There's a salesperson in a nice tie, or maybe she's wearing a nice dress and she greets you and her hands are manicured and she's a professional, and it's nice and it's beautiful and everything is just dialed in that place. The lights are right. The glass case is beautiful, and you take it out and they open the box up and they hand it to you and you're like, oh my God, I love that watch. That's beautiful. I want that watch. I'm going to buy that watch for my wife. Holy crap. It is amazing. A salesperson handed it to you. Yeah? Got it? Okay. You bring it home, and You give it to your wife, and she's like, I don't want that's a piece of shit. I don't like that watch. Bring it back. You're like, I can't bring it back. It was 30 days ago. I can't bring it back. You're like, what do? It was sent at a garage sale. Okay, so now I put it out in my driveway, and I put it on the table with my other stuff in my sweatpants and my old shoes, and it's sitting there, out of the box, open. Can I get as much money for it? Can I? The answer is no, you cannot. Why is that? It's because anything that is sold through a salesperson has a higher price. Its perceived value is higher. This also works with, say, property managers that can demand an extra, let's say if the rent would be normally be $900 if you're trying to rent your home on your own. And that's not what this video is about, but it works for everything. And yet a property manager who might charge you $75 to manage the property can get an extra $200 for the property per month. That's $2,400 a year. So folks that are trying to manage their own properties, they're actually losing money because they're renting it for less. Same concept applies here. So let's shift this over to the negotiation piece. When negotiations happen, this is an important number to understand. So that 5% of FSBOs for sale by owners actually can get it done on their own. They end up selling on average. Now these numbers can't be disputed. So before you start saying it's impossible to dispute this because the studies are done every year. So we know that these numbers are accurate. They sell for 8% less than the listed property. 8% less. Typical commissions, what are they? We know they're between 5 and 7%. So even if you manage to handle the sale on your own, the numbers prove that the sales price is going to be 8% less on average, which means you've left anywhere from 3 to 1% on the table. And let's just say it was only 1% of the table. What about the hassle, the time you put it? What about the potential litigation that occurs if you've made a mistake with the contract? What if you left something off the seller's disclosure? What if you're a business owner, a small business owner, or a salesperson, and you've taken your eye off the ball for 4 weeks trying to get your home sold on your own? We call it jumping over dollars to get to dimes, which means you're not understanding leverage, how you're trying to do this thing over here when you're supposed to be focused over here. Shame on you. Your family deserves better from you. Small business owners, stop trying to sell your homes on your own. Let the professionals do it. You understand the value of a professional doing the thing. This is it. So the price is less. You negotiate not as well as somebody who is a trained negotiator. I personally have been formally trained to negotiate, plus I have over 3,800 opportunities to help sellers through the process. So we know what to say, what not to say. We know trained expert negotiators know questions to ask, more importantly, rather than saying something, questions to ask to draw out the other person's potential interest and to increase the opportunities of an offer that's going to be far superior than somebody who just handles it on their own and doesn't have those insights for negotiating.
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
Okay, I wanted to hop in here real quick and just give you this is a perfect example of what I see pretty much every day in the world of for sale by owners. As I mentioned, I talk to a lot of for sale by owners and I help a lot of for sale by owners. But here's what happens quite a bit of time. I would say maybe 20% of the time, this is the route that a for sale by owner takes. Now I blocked names and phone numbers off for the sake of anonymity, but I wanted to mostly show you the date here. So this one was listed on June 7th, 2024 for a price of $585. Now, when you track this listing, what they did was they went for sale by owner, but then they popped over on, I'll show you the date, on in June to what's called a flat fee system. So which means is they kind of like upgraded their for sale by owner status, and then they jumped right over to for sale by owner on using a flat fee system. So that means that, let me show you what that looks like. So right here, so basically you have a company, and I'll block the names of the companies out here, but essentially what they do is they take the existing photos they have, which I told you about the photos and how that's a problem. And then they put it on the MLS with a company that says, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put on the MLS for you for a flat fee. And that fee is, I think it's $500 or something. So then they enter the data in, they use the seller's photos, description, and all the information about the property. And there's no marketing beyond this. Now I can tell you what full on marketing looks like when you've hired an agent to do a job for you. Boom, there you go. Your listing goes everywhere. And plus, if it's a unique property, horse farm, lake property, property with acreage, and so on, not only can we syndicate to the places you see here and beyond, but we also then will advertise on properties unique to that type of home. And I mentioned a couple of lake properties, river properties, cottages, farms, and properties with acreage. The list goes on and on. So that's what happens. But in this case, essentially what they did was they moved it over to a flat fee system, and you can see they ran that for 23 days. Well, now you have the first run of when they were for sale by owner, and we know what that looked like. That didn't work out too well. And so then they went to this second step, which is 23 days in kind of the middle ground. You can see that that's a canceled listing here. But then they finally, I just pulled it up today, and it looks like they have relisted the property. And you can see the price now is an active listing, and that started 4 days ago. So I'm not going to pull that one up because you saw what happened here. So this is the example. So June 7th, it's the end of July. So they've essentially wasted the good part of 6 weeks or more right in the middle of the summer, when they could have had prime activity, prime showings, and the home would have likely have sold for full price or more had they just went ahead and gone this route in the very beginning. So I wanted to give you this example here today because if I'm just talking about it, it may not quite make sense to you, but that's what happened. Regular for sale by owner using Zillow, usually upgrade to a flat fee scenario, which doesn't work. And here's why it doesn't work: because you're using the same photos, you use the same description, you're kind of like hobbling together a concept and doing it on your own, the DIY version of that. And I think also another problem is a lot of times those data fields aren't accurate. And because everything's searchable, a buyer that's looking for a home, just because it's on the MLS doesn't mean they can find it. Because if any of those fields are off, bedroom count, square footage is off, they won't find the property. And I see that happen all the time because they're trying to cram data into all these different MLSs around the country, and their data fields aren't lining up. They're not mapping them properly is what's going on. So then it makes it unsearchable for buyers. Okay, hopefully this helps you.
All right, let me give you the 3 ways. So now I'm giving you the 5 challenges for sale by owners, the 3 ways to win as a for sale by owner. You ready for this? Get an appraisal. Get your home appraised up front. Why is that? Because we can remove emotion from the equation. It's an emotional process. So we always think our homes are worth more than they are, especially if you're living in it. It's your primary residence. There's a lot of love, blood, sweat, tears that goes into the getting a home ready process, and it's highly emotional, especially if you've done work leading up to getting the home on the market. This happens all the time. Then you feel like you should be getting more for the property, more than market value. Okay, so get it appraised, set the record straight, have the home appraised, or maybe if you have a friend in the business, let them do a market analysis for you. Okay, but get that price right. You can't mess that up. Okay, now secondly is the product. You've got to make sure the product is featured as nice as it can be. Don't try to do these photos on your own. Think about the first impression. It's been said that people form their first impressions of us within seconds. Don't we do the same thing with homes? We only have one shot at this thing. The photography, the imagery, give the buyer, potential buyer, a certain feeling. If you've messed it up, and most do, by the way, that's the first thing we look at is the photos are terrible. And we come in with professional photography, we fly drones over the house, and then we syndicate it out all over the world. You get what I'm saying here, okay? You got to get that part right. And then finally, if you're going to do this thing on your own, give yourself a timeline. And this is not an advocation for hiring me or any other agent. Just consider the fact that the window is small. The longer you're out there messing around with this, the longer buyers are forming negative impressions of your property. And if you are truly a motivated seller and you're holding on for dear life, trying to save the commission, just realize that ultimately it's going to come off the price, or it's going to be in the form of compensation for ready, able, and willing, hungry real estate professionals. But make sure that when you make that decision, you typically for sale by owners will list after about 12 days. That's my experience after working with so many over the years. It's about the timeline. But many will hold on for dear life for a month, and what happens is they blow through a solid market condition. An example is right now. Here we are, late July. The market peaks out in July, and it starts to come down the other side. But many are for sale by owner right now, and they say, I just want to try it out for 2 or 3 weeks longer. What they truly mean is 4 weeks, or they try it for even longer and longer, depending on their predisposition for doing things on their own. They're a true DIY, and that sign that's dug in really deep in their front yard, baby. They are holding on for dear life, trying to save that 6% so that they can jump over dollars to get to dimes, meaning the sales price is going to be less. And I know this because I also track. I find out what the sales price was, and I look at all the for sale by owners, and I make a note of what they finally sold for. I also know what I would have listed it for, because in the end, what I can do more often than not, and agents that really truly know how to market properties we can get a higher sales price, which most of the times means we can offset compensation. Not every time, but most of the time, and save you the time, the hassle, and possible litigation that occurs when a mistake is made. So this is the for sale by owner revealed. Again, if I don't have my license, I might just give it a shot, but I know too much. I know the data. The data doesn't lie. The numbers do not lie. And I think that's the part that most people leave out of this equation, is they're guessing. And if the numbers show it, so if you want to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and the least amount of hassle, so that, I forgot one little piece. Let me give you a 5.5, okay? Because I gave you the 5 challenges. 5.5 is on a challenge for sale by owners is that you're forgetting that this money mostly is going to be used to go buy another property. And you're forgetting the fact that this money put into circulation in your life is going to help you go take action on that next home. But what happens is you're looking like this is like 2 separate containers. No, it's sell and buy. It's one big container. It's just moving money from here to here. And so you're losing the lost opportunity cost is not factored in. And where that home you could have been living in already has slipped away 3 to 5 times now because you're messing around here trying to get this done on your own, you're not factoring that in. So lost opportunity cost, it would be the 0.5 of the challenges. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Listen, if you're somebody that is thinking about for sale by owner, heed those three tools. I promise you, those will help you. And then at the end of the day, if you'd like to get more insights or you'd like to connect with us here at Yoder Real Estate, happy to share with you my exact playbook for helping you get your home sold for the most money in the shortest amount of time and the least amount of hassle. Thanks for tuning in again to another episode of Real Estate Revealed. Until next time. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from the community. And if you really enjoyed it, could you do me a solid? Could you like the video? That'd really help because that means others get to see it. And those that really need to see this video will see it more if you like it because the algorithm will work. You know how that works out. So please like it and also share it with anybody that you think might really need to watch this. And hey, I also decided I mentioned my for sale by owner playbook. I decided to link it below. So if you're somebody that's thinking about making a move and you want to do it on your own, click the link below because that playbook will walk you through. It's exactly everything you need to know about taking on this challenge as a for sale by owner and walk you right through it from A to Z. Hope you enjoy it.